Hey, what's up, guys? We have Bryan Louzil on the podcast. He is the VP of Mometu, the Mometu app. So, how's it going, Brian? How you doing today?
It's going well, Micah. Thanks for having me on.
No problem. So, can you tell us a little bit about yourself first, and then we'll go from there?
Yeah. I'll keep it very service level to start with, but yeah, I'm the vice president of business development for Mometu, and Mometu is a free streaming service that can be found on all major devices, as far as like CTV streaming devices like Roku and Fire TV, Apple TV, as well as smart TVs like Vizio and Samsung and LG, and you can also download it on your phone and on web as well. I'm also the founder of the Amomi 2 College Film Festival, which is for college students to compete against each other. And we're going into our third season soon. And more recently, I'm also the host of the More For Me and You podcast, which is actually my background today. So, yeah, that's me.
Cool. So, yeah, I hadn't heard of the Mometu app. I'm assuming that it's new, right? But I had the creators of The Haunting of Hollywood on. I'm sure you know them, but I'm pretty sure I talked with both of you guys on email. But
Yeah, yeah, I know Lilia Deutschanova quite well. Yeah, we launched her film exclusively, and it's still playing exclusively on Momi 2 today.
yeah. So yeah, I had them on. I watched it on the app. I'm impressed with the app. I think any type of free app like that is a good idea, and where you can get like indie projects up there. How did you were you the one who started it or
Yeah, one of the founders.
okay?
But yeah, so we kind of have this idea that we wanted to, share underserved content. It was one of those things like there's a lot of independent filmmakers out there. There's a lot of international films that rarely make it out to the States as well. Because our app is only available in North America. So we focus on bringing content that North Americans typically, most of our audience is in the United States, some in Canada, but films that you typically would not see. And we also have a fair amount of classic films as well because we feel those are underserved. I mean, those are kind of the building blocks of what film is built on, and we want to make sure we have a full collection of that as well to showcase all the content that's just underserved, but especially for independent filmmakers. I mean, they just don't get the love, right? They work so hard on these projects and they get up to another platform and but they're not shown in the limelight. They're not, in front of everyone. So we actually do that. We hand curate all of our content. So like when Lilia's film The Haunting of Hollywood came out, it was right front and center on the homepage, ready to go. As soon as everyone signed into the app, it was right in front of them.
Yeah. And how is it doing so far? Not only the movie, but the app in general. Like, are you guys getting a lot of clicks and stuff?
Yeah, both are doing well. I mean, like any small business, it's slow at the beginning and it takes time to build it up. We've only been out to the public with our like the current version of our app, like the full version of our app, since October of 2023. So, roughly a year and a half. It's been a very short amount of time. But the app is doing well. We're building a strong community within social media, and building a strong community within the independent film world as well.
Yeah, cool. So how do you go about starting like an app like that? And then also if you could just, what's your like day to day like behind the scenes? I'm very interested in like CEOs and or VP CEOs, what they're doing, just
Executives, yeah.
executives exactly. And yeah,
Yeah, I mean, well, to start an app, first of all, it's not cheap. So that's first and foremost. You want to make sure that you have enough to finance your project, and then on top of that, you also have to plan for not being profitable for a couple years. It takes time to build up an audience. It takes time to and depending on which direction you're going in, there's the subscription based services, there's the free services like ours. So the subscription based services, you're selling subscriptions. You got to set your price point and hope that people are willing to pay for that. There's also a lot of people that don't want to pay for apps. And so that's the model we went with. So we have to have a big enough audience that's also going to appease the advertisers. So we're not just playing content without ads and not making any money, right? So it's a little bit of a balance there, but it takes time to build it up. And we've been very fortunate that we've been able to grow our audience quite well. And people seem to love what we're doing. We're kind of bringing a new focus to independent and underserved content that other platforms are not doing.
Yeah. And what's your day to day like? And then also, how do you go about picking the movies? Do people tend to come to you, or are you going out finding them? Or
Yeah, we'll start with the first question you asked, which is the second one that I didn't answer before. But yeah, the day to day is unique. It's there's a lot of different things going on. So like I said, I'm kind of wearing three different hats, right? I'm doing business development for the app itself and talking to filmmakers and trying to find different ways to bring on users to the platform. I'm also the founder of a film festival, so there's a lot of work that goes into the film festival and making sure that we're keeping those college filmmakers, the student filmmakers happy. We're bringing enough value to them that they feel our film festival is worth doing. Um, we feel that it definitely brings a lot of value, but we're also young in that too. This is only going into our third year, so that takes time to build up. I mean, there's incredible, independent film festivals that are out there that have been around for over 30 years. So that there's that to compete with in a sense, but we do things a little differently because we support their films on our streaming service. We actually put them all up for an entire month. And so it's a little different than other festivals that are out there doing things only in theaters or localized or regionalized type festivals. So we're able to kind of bring student filmmakers from across the nation. So that takes a lot of time and energy. Um, and then also with the podcast, right? I mean, you know how hard it is, and scheduling guests and making sure you have all that in all your ducks in a row with that. I typically do 2 episodes a day, so it's coordinating with 2 guests today, and we do it in person in Hollywood, so like making sure people can make it in person and that they're volunteering their time at that point, right, to also showcase what they're doing. So yeah, the day to day is different every day. There's also meetings that I schedule, right? So I'm usually up at say 6:30 in the morning because I have a toddler, so if not earlier, so he wakes me up. I'm usually, on social media, checking numbers, making sure, like putting up the podcast episodes, stuff like that. Uh, then I'm getting back into kind of like the typical emails and meetings and all that kind of stuff that we have going on. Um, if not, I'm getting on the road to go to Hollywood to, film some podcast episodes, or maybe traveling out of town. Like sometimes I do get to travel around the world a little bit and talk to content providers, which kind of leads you into the third question you asked there was, how do we get content, right? I mean, we do talk to independent filmmakers directly, but we don't typically bring their films on directly. So we know more than ever, one platform is not going to support a single film over its time, right? So we want to set that filmmaker up to win, and we typically will get them in touch with one of the 20 plus distribution companies that we work with for content based on what type of film they are, what their goals are, and where, what are they trying to do with their film, what was their budget, how quickly are they trying to make it back. And so we'll get them with someone that can get their film out to not just Mometu, but also to other streaming platforms to help them make money, which is what they ultimately need to do to pay back the financing the film.
yeah, I had one. I think I've had a couple guys on here who have made movies or shorts. I had one guy recently. And I could like what he his short looked good, but I wasn't even. I don't think it was even out yet. But it's like for a lot of these people, it's hard to even be able to see their movie or short. But that's why an app
Yeah.
like what you guys are doing is so good, because it's like, I mean, obviously, I would assume they could just put it on YouTube, but like when I brought that up to him, I don't think he really wanted to. Like he views his film as again a real film, not like a YouTube film or whatever. So that's cool that there's an app like your guys's who's doing that now. How would you compare your guys's to app to Mometu to like YouTube and some of the other like Rumble? Is anybody able to kind of like, I don't think anybody's able to go post on there, right? But have you
No,
thought
no,
about
yeah.
opening it up like that? Because I feel like YouTube could definitely use some competitors. You know what I mean? It's like it's pretty much what YouTube, Rumble. and I guess Twitch.
Mm,
You know what I mean? It's
no,
like
I mean there's a ton of streaming services out there.
they're
I
just not
mean,
big, probably, right? Like they're not.
oh no, they're massive. They're massive. I mean, we're a very small grain of sand in the whole beach of the streaming universe. And um, YouTube is definitely. I mean, they got a beachfront house. Like they're massive. If you want to kind of keep that with that analogy, they're massive. They're the largest streaming platform in the world. And so, and we only cater to North America. So you got to keep in mind that the gravity of the size of how big they are and how many years they've been doing it. I mean, YouTube's been around for like 15 years and maybe more now. I don't know exact number on that, but I think it was like early 2000s when people started putting stuff on YouTube and people thought YouTube wasn't going to be anything. And look what it is today, right? I mean, the initial videos on YouTube were kind of like pranks and different, kids doing dumb things. So, um, kind of the Johnny Knoxville type stuff, right? So, I mean, look at what it's transitioned into. I mean, not just being a streaming platform for just random videos, people putting up cat videos or whatever they want to put up, but um, they have YouTube TV now, and how that works into the streaming world as far as like actually watching television. So it's a whole different ecosystem. You do have the ability to load films up, but it doesn't mean you're going to make any money. If you with knowing how YouTube is kind of utilized and how it works, you have to have a certain number of subscribers before you can even look at monetizing on their platform. Then on top of that, you have to have watch hours. You have to have like 3,000, I think it's like 3,000 watch hours over the last 365 days, or like 3 million views on your on your shorts, that the vertical shorts in order just to start monetizing your views.
Yeah,
So I mean, if your film is only just up on its own page, you're not making any money. You're just getting people to watch it, right? So
yeah.
a single streaming platform like Mometu or others that are in our world, they can make you some money. They may not make you everything you're looking to make on your film. Maybe on some of them you are, but like you need a lot of views. You need thousands and thousands of views just to make, 10, 15, $20.
Yeah.
You need millions of views to start making some real dough. And that's what, YouTube brings you that scale of users, but it doesn't necessarily bring you the monetization until you have the views on your specific video. And if you can get it up onto a page that has enough users, that's when you start making money.
But you guys right now will pay the creator right away, like right off the
Yeah,
bat,
we
whatever they
pay
get.
we pay filmmakers directly, but typically, like I mentioned before, we don't bring films on directly. Um, we do in certain scenarios, and there are very few exceptions, but we typically will lead that filmmaker to a distribution company that will be able to get them on to other platforms as well. So, for instance, Lilia, her film with Haunting of Hollywood, we were able to bring that film on exclusively on Namomi 2 for 90 days. We are the only platform that you can watch her film on until the end of April. As of May 1st or 2nd or whatever it is, that it's going to go up to Prime. And then after that, it's probably going to go to like Tubi and Pluto and Plex and the CW and other streaming platforms that are out there, if they accept the film, right? So like it's going to have other opportunities on other platforms, but that's okay because our users use Momi too, right? There's other users that use other platforms too, and we just happen to have this film exclusively for 90 days. So if anyone wants to watch it right now, they have to come to Momi too. But that film needs other platforms for the longevity of its film because our users are only going to watch one film so many times, right? Typically, you're going to watch a film once. I mean, think about your viewing habits, Micah. Like you watch a movie, you're probably not going to watch that movie again for another year, if not longer, unless you really, really, really enjoyed it, right? Like,
Yeah,
if
you're very
maybe you watched Maverick or Top Gun Maverick like 3 months ago, but you're going to watch it again because Val Kilmer just passed away. It's like you may just watch it just to honor him, right? So like, but more than likely, you're not going to watch Top Gun Maverick 2 or Top Gun 2 Maverick, whatever the title, but you're not going to watch that film again for probably at least a year, if not longer, right?
Yeah.
So a user on our platform may watch it once, they're not going to watch it again for a while, right? So it would be a disservice for us to hold on to a film exclusively for too long because the filmmaker's not going to benefit from that. We want to walk them down the path of building a relationship with a distributor that makes sense for them so that their film can go to other platforms, can go to other countries, can go maybe up onto YouTube as well and be on a channel on YouTube that's actually monetizing so they actually make money for their film. Like that's our ultimate goal is to help filmmakers be seen but also to make money. And so we can't be selfish in our endeavors for just, just being about us only. So we hooked up Lily with a distributor that's going to get her on other platforms after it's kind of done with our initial, uh, our initial kind of phase of our platform for 3 months. And then maybe we'll repurpose it back in October, right? When we get closer to Halloween, when horror films start building out, we'll probably put The Haunting of Hollywood back up again in pole position because it makes sense.
Yeah, that's cool that you guys do that. Like it sounds like you're really trying to help out the creators as opposed to just trying to like make money off them. And that's also cool that that they are able to go from not only your app, but now they're able, they're not like stuck to your app or whatever, like some of these places do, like they like make you stay on Netflix or whatever for 3 years or whatever.
And
Um,
you're paying for that, right? For with us, it's kind of like the lean back opportunity where it's like, hey, you can use these other subscriptions and you're married to them, right? Because you're utilizing their subscription. You're paying for it. So why not use it? Right? Like it would be dumb of you to have a subscription, you're paying, 8 to upwards of $25 a month and not use the app, right? It would be silly.
yeah,
Why would you do that? You would just cancel it and then get it back when there's a show or movie on that you really want to watch.
yeah,
For us, we give that user the opportunity. So when they say, "Man, you know what? There's nothing on Netflix right now. I've kind of seen everything that I want to see. Let me jump over to Mometu and see what's on there." Right? Like, let me be the second option, and we're okay with that, right? Like, we are some people's first option, which is really cool. We've heard that from our users, but we're okay being that fallback option too. It's okay.
yeah. But I mean, the question about YouTube was, are you ever going to get to a point where like you allow anybody to post on there like YouTube?
No,
No,
no, because
it's
there's no, you need to have, I mean, you need to have agreements in place and all that stuff. I mean, YouTube does it has kind of a click through and you just kind of put it up, but like they also have their self copyright, you know, kind of AI service that's built into it. So if you load up, say, a podcast, right? Even if you put up a podcast on there and you put some music that's not allowed to be used, they'll pull your video down, right? Like it has its
yeah,
whole system, ecosystem of like it can tell whether you have that or not, right? Um, our system doesn't have that, right? So we have to, when we sign a film on, we bring a film on, we need to make sure that there's legal things on the back end that covers us for copyrighted music and copyrighted, footage. Um, and making sure that like they have even like like a chain of custody of the music, like their rights to use certain music in their films. And
yeah,
that's something we have. It's not just as simple as I can go up and just put anything up. There's
yeah,
definitely laws that protect people. So yeah, you got to be careful about that.
yeah. I'm actually dealing with all of that right now. Like I got like you mentioned the monetization process on
Hmm.
YouTube, and I got monetized somewhat recently, and it's been a long endeavor, man. And like I probably opened my account like about started my account like 10 years ago, and I was posting like my own kind of nature content or drone videos or whatever.
Yep.
And then I eventually got to a point where I was like, this isn't enough. Like I got to that point where I'm like, you need 4,000 watch overs over the past year, and you also need over. The thing is, at first I thought it was only 1,000 subscribers, and I was like, I got to that point, and then it's like, no,
Yeah.
now you need 4,000 hours
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
for long form videos, not shorts too.
Hmm.
So then I just realized I had to
Yeah.
just start
One
like
or the other. Yeah.
yeah, I literally just started posting every day. Like I'm still doing that, like trying to post every day to try and get more. Like you just need to like feed the machine, and that's tough, but at the same time I kind of do enjoy it. Like I like doing stuff like that. So, but in terms of money, it's not, it's definitely not like I'm not making a living off of it or anything, but at least there's that option. And I think we live in a world now where there is that option. Any like just not anybody can make it, but if you really want to try and make it on YouTube or even with your app, like making your own movie, at least the potential is there. Whereas 20 years ago, 30 years ago, like I wouldn't even be able to be doing this. You know what I mean? So I think all these apps are great, and whether it be YouTube or yours or so. What's the purpose of the distributor? Like I've always kind of wondered that. Like, isn't A24 a distributor?
A24 is a production house. So like they're an independent production studio in a sense. Um, and they do make their own films. So that's what they started out doing, but then they also self-distribute their content as well. Yeah. So just because a person makes a film or they have a production company doesn't mean they can self-distribute either, because they may not have the relationships or the insurance that's needed to in order to distribute content. So most distributors will come in and, or also known as aggregators, right? There's aggregators and distributors. So there's a distributor or will have like a sales agent. And so they'll go in and say, hey, we'll get the rights to your film for worldwide or North America only or Europe only or whatever, like certain territories. And they will go actively try to sell your film. They'll try to get your film onto platforms like Mometu or like Netflix or Hulu or Tubi or Prime or whatever. And so they have relationships with these people. Now, each individual platform has their own requirements too. And there's also like certain niche platforms like Crunchyroll. Crunchyroll is Asian content. So they're not going to accept an independent film about that's not about either Asian culture or is made by an Asian filmmaker or whatever, right? So it is there's very niche platforms as well. And so the distributor will have a book of business that they will reach out to and say, "Hey, would you like this film? I think this would fit your, platform well." Or maybe they go to a certain conference and they try to sell the film. And so the distributor's role is to get the film out to as many platforms as possible, because most filmmakers don't know that world, right? They make films. They're filmmakers. They're directors. They're producers. Like they don't understand the distribution world. And I mean, I even just had a conversation with a girl who she was in the distribution world, and she is a filmmaker. She made her own she made her first feature film, and even then got hosed on her distribution deal. And it's unfortunate. So like filmmakers need to be led down the right path to have the right relationships so they're not getting, you know, money taken out of their pockets. They need to be able to pay back their investors or pay back themselves because they invested their own money into the platform too, or into their film. So they need to partner with the right people. There's also another term, aggregators, right? So aggregators will typically bring on films from multiple distribution companies and then also then try to license those films out. So, let's just say a film makes $100. Well, I'll just use 50-50 for all the different, to make it simple for as far as terms go. But let's say $100 on Momi2. And let's just say I have a 50-50 deal with an aggregator. Well, then that's $50 for me, $50 for them. They take that $50 and they split it with the distributor. So let's just say that of that 50, the aggregator keeps 20%. And so they're keeping $10. The distributor keeps the other 40. And then the distributor has a deal with the filmmaker. And let's just call that 75-25, hypothetically. So the filmmaker's making $30 and the distributor's making 10. So of the $100 that was initially made on their film during a given month, the filmmaker may make 20 to $30 if they, depending on how it's getting sold, right? So if a filmmaker can get with a good distributor who doesn't need to use an aggregator, there's more money in their pocket, right? So it really makes sense to get with the right distributor that's not typically using a full aggregator to get their films out either. You can get a distributor to get it out directly. And let's just say of the $50, maybe at that point they're keeping closer to 40 of the 50. And so they make a little bit more money than they would have if it went to a different route. Some other companies also take out money for like selling it, to put it up. Like if they go to a conference, I go to a conference in France every year called MIPCOM in October, and there's sales agents and distribution companies that are out there, but they charge a fee to have their film or a specific film be like the top of like their pamphlet, right? Printout, whatever, because they're going out there actively selling more like that film and putting it in front of people more than say another film that they have in like their, library catalog. And so sometimes there'll be money that's like pulled off of the film to pay for travel expenses.
So is there a lot of like pay to play kind of like that? Like I've heard on the radio, there's some of that
Mm.
where like if you pay Netflix or whoever it is enough money, they'll put your movie like right on the top or whatever. Does that
Yeah, there's
happen?
yeah, there's deals like that for yeah, of course. That's how marketing and advertising works, right? I mean, you got to pay to be in the front. And so and forgive me, I'm a little under the weather, so my if I'm wiggling my nose or sneezing or muting myself, it's just because I'm got a little sniffle here. But
No problem.
um, but yeah, so the benefits of having a 3-year-old sneezing in your face all the time. So yeah, the like you bring up Netflix, and so yeah, if you're gonna have Netflix is a little different because most of the stuff that they put up in the front is gonna be their stuff that's made by their production studios. Um, Same thing for like a Tubi. Tubi's owned by Fox, and so a lot of the stuff you'll see in the front is going to be all of the stuff that's made by either Fox or Tubi, right? It's all legacy Fox stuff, or it's going to be made by the Tubi studios. And so with our platform, we don't charge to put it up in front. We know how hard it is to be an independent filmmaker with a small budget, and so we'll put it up for right in the forefront so every single user sees it. But say with like another platform, um, maybe it's Hulu, right? Or maybe it's Max, right? They're not making it themselves, even though they have their own studios, and they get the rights to a film. Yeah, that part of that deal is that they're paying a certain amount of money to have it in front to be seen by a certain number of people, a certain number of impressions, in order for that to make money. Yeah, it does
Yeah.
happen. But there's all, I mean, then it's like, then you go look at it, it's okay, is that same film going into film festivals? Is it going to be on billboards and posters? And there's a bunch of different ways to like, market it. But on a specific platform, yeah, there's deals where they have to pay for placement, of course.
Yeah. And then in terms of funding, I've like recently heard movies like 28, like, 28 years later is made and it's coming out, or like, or Ron Howard's movie is like finished, but like it hasn't gotten like funding yet. I would kind of just assume that all the funding happened like before the movie was made. It kind of seems weird to me that now they're talking about funding, or I don't know if funding is the exact word, but basically getting the money for it. Like, why are they waiting until now? Do you know what I mean?
I mean, there's a lot of there's that's kind of a weighted question, but there's films that are technically like greenlit in principle, and then they never get made. So they're great ideas. They put people behind them. Something happens and it just never gets out, right? Like some money falls through. Like investments that are said like maybe like kind of more handshake deals. Um, hey, we're gonna give money this much money to make your film, blah blah blah. There was a gosh, what film was it? There was a film that happened to. It almost didn't get made, and two of the stars of the film actually ended up putting their own money up to finish the film. I can't remember what for the life of me right now, but two like A-list actors.
I'm
I
kind of
want
just
I
guessing, but
want to say it might have been Tom Hanks. But either way, it was one of those things where like the film was literally going to not be made, and they ended up making it only because they really 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 believed in the film, and so they took points on the back end to make it and finish it. So there's stuff that can be issues with investments and financing to get the film done. Sometimes it's like there's a specific director or an actor that was like part of the reason why people were investing into it, and then maybe that director or actor pulls out and doesn't want to be a part of the project, so then the film never gets made.
Well, in this situation, it's weird because like the film is made. Like both of these films are finished. They're just waiting
Yep.
on
Could be edit,
funding.
could be editing, could be there's legal issues on the back end that reason why it's not being released. Certain people
I
weren't
think it
paid
has to be
paid
more with
back.
being put in. I don't know. I'm just assuming this, but it has to be more with being actually put into the theater. Like it needs money to be put in theaters. I don't know if like they need money to
Yeah.
actually get it into the theaters or what, but I've just seen this recently. So
There could have been a deal where like, in order to get a certain director on or whatever, like, maybe they said it has to be go through theaters first and they maybe ran out of money and then need to get it in there, and theaters don't just put films up for free. So yeah, I
yeah,
mean that could definitely be a hold up. I mean there's numerous things that could be hold up a film. And to be honest, sometimes you don't hear the full story right in the news. So they could say, "Hey, this movie's finished," and it's not technically finished. Like it's still in post production, or maybe the director has final cut and just never agreed to what it was made for, like what it was made, like how it was made. Like, nope, sorry, I'm not gonna put my name out there for that product until it's changed. So
yeah,
there's numerous things, and again, I'm not a filmmaker, so like I don't understand that world 100%, but I do know how to get a film out. Like that's more on my side. Like we take in finished products. Like
yeah,
we don't do the production side of things.
yeah.
Not yet,
Was the
at
movie you
least.
were talking about The Revenant? But feel like I heard The Revenant took a while to get out, but and it
I
cost a lot
mean,
of money and time.
there's a lot of films like that, but there's a film specific, and I'm sure that someone listening to this is like yelling into the screen exactly what that film is. But there were two main people that uh, came in the last moment and raised like $5 million to finish the film.
Yeah,
And make sure it got done. Because if not, it would have been something like there were millions of dollars spent to make a film and it would have just gone for nothing. Like the film would have never been finished.
yeah,
Once you get out of a certain window of like filming, like you can't reshoot because you got the actors need to move on to their next project, right? And the
yeah,
crews need to move on to their next project because they've already said like, hey, I'm working for you for 3 to 4 weeks, and then after that, I'm going to the next project. They've already signed on to be an actor, AD, an editor, whatever it is for the next project, right? So they can't say no when they've already they're contractually obligated for the next project too. So yeah,
yeah.
there's a lot of films that honestly, unfortunately, never get seen.
Yeah, and I follow for a while on my YouTube channel. I was like posting movies and TV shows that are going to come out, so I kind of follow it. I kind of know. I'm kind of anticipating what's coming out next. And a lot of these movies that I've covered, it'll be like if this is coming out or whatever, and then it never comes out, or if it does come out, like it's not in theaters or like I'm still kind of like waiting on certain movies that are like Oscar winners be um to be put on streaming services,
Hmm.
like I mean I can pay for like The Brutalist or like The Apprentice, which I might just end up doing that, but $5 or $10 or whatever. But you're kind of like, when is this, going to end up on a streaming service? And it just seems like it takes forever. In terms of Mometu, right now you guys have no ads, right? Are you guys? It sounds like you're planning to roll out ads, right?
No, we do have ads.
You
It
do
just
have ads right
depends.
now.
It
Okay.
depends on what device you're watching on and where you're watching from. So there's a lot of different things that happen with advertising. You might be watching, like, say, on your computer in a certain city, and maybe it just doesn't populate any ads for you at that time because there's nothing regionally or whatever. So, or maybe a national campaign that's not running. So, like, no, we do get ads. Certain markets get more ads than others, because that's how advertising works, right? Like, if you're in a small town in Nebraska, there may not be a campaign that runs for while you're watching something. And that's the same for any other advertising platform. Um, if you're in a city where it's just there's no localized or regionalized ads that are populating within the system or even within the direct sales of that platform, you may not get something or maybe get less than others. Whereas if you're in Los Angeles or Chicago or New York or whatever, you'll probably see a little bit more because advertisers are going to go where the masses are.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I think I was specifically talking about The Haunting of Hill House, was they said or The Haunting of Hollywood, which they said there was no ads on up until a certain point. So maybe it was just for that one movie or something?
No, it can also depend on, like sometimes a film will start and there'll be no pre-roll. As soon as you open up the film, sometimes there's ads right in the very beginning. Sometimes there's not. Sometimes it doesn't happen until, because you're watching at a certain time of day, right? Like, so when did you watch? There's advertisers that run out of budgets and stuff like that. So like, based on a certain number of impressions. And so there's a lot of different factors that go into advertising. Now, the other piece to it also is that we're also a small company, right? Like we're very new in the game. So like a company that's been around for a lot longer, who has say millions of subscribers or millions of users, right? Like a Tubi. Tubi has like over I think now they had before they went to the UK there was something like 90 million users. But now that they're in the UK, it's grown even more than that. Um, worldwide users. So their advertising is way bigger because advertisers want to reach more people, right? So more users, more people, more ads will play, and that'll happen. So yeah, as we grow, more ads will be populating um, for users.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
and
So
by
in
the by the and
terms,
by the way, to go back to I looked it up real quick. It was Eva Longoria, and she gave $6 million to make sure to finance and finish John Wick. So John Wick almost
oh
never got made
wow,
because the movie needed $6 million, and she got in with less than 24 hours before the film would have been shut down.
and that was the first one.
The original John Wick, yeah.
Yeah. So if they hadn't made that one, just think like none of the other
None
four.
of the John Wick's movies. So like the thing is that she came in with $6 million, and she then took a percentage on the back end as well. So she made back her six, and the thing is that Keanu Reeves, um, he had already put in his money to make the film. The other filmmakers on the project had made, they were really passionate about making this film, and then sure enough, they needed that last $6 million to get over the hump at the very end, and if not, never would have been made. So yeah, I had to look that up because it was hurting me, and I was like, was it Tom? Hey, it was like it was some, I could picture A-list actor like, but it was Keanu Reeves that had put his money up, but it was Eva Longoria who came in the last minute to save it. So pretty cool
Yeah,
fun fact.
it's kind of crazy with Keanu Reeves, like how it almost seems like he can't like miss like whatever he does.
Yeah, he's got a
Just
great.
from the Matrix to John Wick, and I don't even well, I haven't even seen honestly like full disclosure, I haven't even seen John Wick. I kind of want to. It's not really totally my type of movie, but I've heard it's good. But I don't even think I realized Eva Longoria was even in the movie.
I don't think she's in it. She just helped finance it.
Oh, so wow, that's crazy. Like she
No,
just
it
was like,
just it was just financing it.
she's like, I just like this movie so much that I want it to get made. I'll put in 6 million or whatever. Damn.
Yeah, watch. I'm really curious. How much has Eva Longoria made from John Wick? And it's literally popping up in my Google search. So like people have searched this multiple times. So Eva Longoria has earned over $12 million from her $6 million investment, which means a total of $18 million has been made just to her based on what she owned on that film or was on the film. So she's made $12 million.
Wow. So that was definitely a good investment for
100%.
her. Yeah.
And she's just on the first one. So I don't know if she's like invested into the second or third or whatever. Like I think there's four of them now, maybe.
You could
Uh,
obviously see how it could still be even though 12 million is a ton of money, you could see how it could still be a gamble. Like if you throw in 6 million and
yeah.
you don't make that back, you know what I
That's a
mean? It's
gamble.
like,
That's
yeah, it's
investing.
like,
That's
man,
investing. That's investing. I mean, it's
yeah.
doesn't matter if it's in the stock market or if it's in movies. It's investing. So you
And it
never know what you're going to make back.
it's probably especially with movies, it's probably really kind of hard to control. I mean, even though you might think a movie is great and everyone's going to love it, you never know. It could just end up not doing well.
Yeah, 100%.
But so in terms of the movies that you're into that you want to be on Mometu, I keep saying Momet, it's Mometu.
People say Mometu. People say Mometu. Mometu, like the different ways. It actually how we derive the name is actually it stands for more for me and you. So more opportunities for filmmakers. The me is literally us sitting on the couch with you because we hand curate the whole platform. Like everything you see is put there in place by us. And you like when you go to Mometu, it looks the same as it does for me. It doesn't matter based on what you watch. There's no algorithms, nothing.
Yeah.
We do it all by hand. So we expose you to content that you may or may not have clicked on. But if you wanted to get into a certain genre, you could literally just click on movies, go right to the genre section, which, go to comedy or go to drama or whatever you're into, click on that, and you're just immersed in a world of just that genre or just that niche, which we've relabeled as vibes. So we want to have some vibes in the platform now. And then we also have a full section of just international content broken out by different regions. So there's a lot of different worlds you can kind of jump into on our platform.
Yeah. And it's like, I mean, I like that because, well, I mean, for me, I know for a lot of people, the algorithm probably gets it right, but for me, it really doesn't do it. Like YouTube and most of these Netflix and stuff, like, just don't. I mean, I'm very picky in general. I think that's kind of part of it. Like, I only really watch really what I want, like specific stuff. I mean, honestly, I'm kind of into like, I don't want to say like top tier content or whatever, but like, whatever they call that, like kind of like cinema type Oscar type movies. But like, I'm
Yeah.
watching The White Lotus right now on HBO on Max. I think that's the only thing that's out right now that I'm currently watching. Like, I'm not the type of person who will just like go on Netflix and be like, oh, that looks good, I'm gonna watch that. It's like it has to be, the right story,
Yeah,
the
you
right
go for
actors, the
something
right
specific.
directors.
You go for something
Yeah,
specific. You go for something that people, your friends are talking about, or things that people have mentioned to you, or whatever, or things you've maybe seen on an ad. I mean, sometimes that's it, right? Too, right? So, like, when you got um, the new Happy Gilmore coming out eventually. Like, people know that it's coming, right? And people are really excited to watch it. I'm sure that Netflix is going to get a ton of streams for that film because it's super. It's just the nostalgia piece of that is just massive, right? So there's going to be a lot of newer people that are going to be watching it just because it's the thing to talk about. So you get the young folks, you get the folks like myself who are 40 and grew up watching Adam Sandler films and just are really excited to see that finally happen because it's been talked about for the last decade of making a second film. So yeah, there's that, right? And each platform is going to build an algorithm based on what you watch, what you click on. Like that's why every time you watch a film on Netflix, it or a series or whatever, it gives you the little thumbs up or the thumbs down thing, and they hope that you click on it.
but
Why?
I and
Because
I never do.
no, you never do. But so the thing
I
is,
should.
so
So
with that, if you just watch something, they'll take that into consideration, right? It'll build the algorithm based on. But if you like it, it's gonna feed you more of that similar stuff. But what always happens with people, and this is why we hand curated the content for Momi too, is because people always get to the point of saying, I've seen everything. I'm going to go to the next app. I've watched this already, whatever. Excuse me. And so they'll start on Netflix. Oh, nope, nothing there, right? They've already made their food too. So like maybe their partners in the kitchen say, "Hey, dinner's almost ready. Can you find something to watch?" Cool. You get into Netflix. There's nothing there. All right. Let me hop over to Hulu. Nope. Nothing there. Okay. Let me hop over to Peacock. Oh, nope. Nothing there. Let me hop over to Apple. Oh, hey, we found something. Oh, hey, my food's cold. Or like maybe you don't find something. And you're like, all right, I'm just going to watch a rerun of Suits. And it's just like you get to that point and that happens to so many people. So, we want to be that option for someone at certain points where like, hey, if you don't find something you're looking for right away, pop over to us, click on something random or click on something that looks cool. You probably haven't heard of it yet and see if it's good, right? Like if you're into comedies, we just picked up a really cool Rob Schneider film called like Daddy Daughter Day, and it's kind of that
wow,
Happy Madison vibe, right? It's the same style. It's actually got Adam Sandler's wife in it. She plays the wife of Rob Schneider, and they have a daughter, and he's kind of a deadbeat dad, and he's kind of have to. He says he's gonna have a daddy daughter day because his daughter's getting made fun of by her friends, and so they're like, he's kind of says, "Oh, I'm gonna do all these things with her," and so her friends would shut up, but uh, he doesn't have any money, so he's got to figure it out. So there's this whole like trip that they take together, to that they have. So it's, again, that's a film that more than likely has not been on people's radars because they made the film, they just didn't have a budget for marketing it.
Yeah. That's probably kind of weird to like play somebody like have your wife as Adam Sandler's wife in real life in
Right?
the movie. You know what I mean?
And their buddies.
Especially if you have to do any type of like kissing or whatever. But
Well, I think
yeah.
they play like, I think they're divorced. It's, yeah.
Okay.
So, but either way, there's that. Like we have films like that on there. We have films with like, we have a film that was made during COVID with Matt Rife in it. And so it was a film that Matt Rife did during COVID. There's some incredible actors. We actually, on episode 5 of our podcast, we had Jen Kober. She's a comedian. Jen Kober was on, and she chose that movie as her, like, in the second half of our podcast. We always do a movie review, and I have the guest pick a film on Mometu, and we review it, kind of a spoiler-free movie review on it, and just to expose, a different film to an audience that probably hadn't seen it or even heard of it.
Yeah.
And I hadn't heard of it even at that point too. I didn't even know we had it on the platform. I was like, we have a film with Matt Rife in there? Like, how did I not know about this? Right. So obviously I don't do the curation. I'm not the operations side. But like, it's one of those things where, yeah, we have this cool little film. It's got Eric Roberts in it. It's got Eric Griffin in it. It's got Claire Grant in it. And so it's got some people that are recognizable. It's got Denzel Whitaker in it, but it was made during COVID. So they didn't have a marketing budget. They made it for $1 million during COVID with all those A-list actors. Like, they just wanted to work, you know? And they're like, you're kind of wondering why like a certain actor doesn't communicate with another actor. It's because they made it during COVID and they couldn't be in the same room, right? So they just made it work. And so we have a film like that on Momi too. Right. So
Yeah.
like we have these little gems that people are just, these hidden gems that people don't ever get to see or hear about. So it's great to kind of bring those to people's televisions.
Yeah. Yeah. I was actually going to ask about the Matt Rife one because I saw that part on
Yeah.
that podcast where you guys said that he's
Oh,
in
you
one of.
watched the podcast. That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. I just,
Yeah.
yeah, I was going to try and show you that I watched the podcast by bringing that up.
I watched a brief moment of a certain episode. Yeah, we
um,
just released our 6th episode. So yeah, fairly new podcast. So if you're listening to this and you want to check that out, feel free. It's on YouTube and all the other, Apple, Spotify, all that fun stuff. So
yeah. That's cool that you're doing. You said you're doing 2 podcasts a day, right?
not per day. No, two podcasts every day that we film. So usually we're filming. We actually have 11 episodes done. We're releasing one a week. So we just released episode 6, and so my goal is to stay about a month ahead. So and because I do not live in Hollywood, and I commute to Hollywood in order to do those episodes in the little booth behind, right, what you see behind us. That's our set. Um, I usually do that once every 2 weeks, and I'll do 2 episodes. Right, so it takes care of 2 weeks worth of content.
And then in terms of what you're into and what like you would want to eventually maybe see on Mometu, what would that be?
As far as what? Sorry, I don't really understand the question there.
Like movies. Do you guys don't have any TV shows on there, right? It's just movies.
No, we do have shows. We do have
Okay.
shows. We again, a lot of shows you probably haven't heard of, right? Like a lot of independent shows. And a lot of, like, we have some international shows as well. So if you're looking for something in a different language, we have some of that as well. Um, but yeah, if you were to go, like, we just redid our platform, but if you go onto our platform, you go click on movies and you'll be immersed in just movies, or you can click on the little tab in there that says shows, and you're literally in just a world of shows. So we have like 30, which is about these 4 women who are in their 30s, and they have kids and they're married, and kind of goes through their life, which is kind of fun. The episodes are short, so really quick and easy watches. We have a really cool one called The Pact. Really well done. Film like that film, or sorry, series that is it's kind of an action thriller in a sense. Um, but that one is It's about these survivors in a post-apocalyptic world. That's what it was. So, trying to find the words for it. Dark Encounters, really cool. Going to kind of ghost hunters, right? So we have some pretty cool shows. And then if you're into the classics, we got a lot of classic shows. So that's where our biggest usage, I would say, on the shows section is probably from our Facebook demographic that we bring in, and people like my parents and that watch shows like the Tales of Wells Fargo and Sky King, the original Batman, the Lucy Show, and probably our most watched series, the Beverly Hillbillies. So we got some really cool classic stuff, some really cool international stuff as well. So yeah, definitely go check it out if you have a moment. There's a lot on there.
Yeah, that's cool. And it's like it gives somebody a way to actually, like, because I remember I used to watch the Beverly Hillbillies, and if I
Hmm.
would want to watch it now and I wasn't able to, well, now I am on Mometu. Is I
Yeah.
mean, I don't even know before it was on Mometu, like I don't even know how I would be able to watch something like that, you know? I don't know,
Yeah,
you know.
there's definitely ways to watch it. I'm sure that show is on other platforms, but again, what is being brought to the forefront, right? Unless it's searched, is it being seen? And so that's what we try to do. That's why we do everything by hand so we can, maybe just how when the days that you have been on the platform, you haven't seen that stuff, or maybe you just didn't scroll down far enough or click on the right place. But it's our job to expose people to the different content that we have. We are mainly focused on our films, though. Like, I will say that we're very, very focused on feature films and documentaries. The shows haven't popped off as much, so we don't focus on them as much, but we're starting to. We even have channels. Like, we have like 30 channels that you can peruse on the platform as well. So, um, channels again that you probably haven't been watching, like Cooking Panda. It's a cooking show. It's just a bunch of random, like, here's a cool recipe, here's a brewery, like random stuff that is on that platform, on that channel. Afroland TV, it's African content for African people is how they market it. Great content from Nollywood and a lot of films that you more than likely been ever been exposed to. We even have a new one that we just brought on called Always Funny, and that's by the makers of America's Funniest Home Videos. And so it's a lot of those types of like random, YouTube type videos now. Like we would call them YouTube videos now, right? Like cat videos, like funny cats and funny animals and things that are like things that are, dads are doing, and just like whatever. So there's that channel. There's a ton of those. Like 30 channels though, and that's more of like the opportunity when you just want to lean back and not worry about the click on something. You just want to have something up and playing and not worry about what you're clicking on. You just want to kind of have the content to sit back and watch.
Yeah. And then in terms of what you're into as far as like what you're personally into as far as movies and TV shows, or maybe even directors, actors, whatever that you would like to see maybe eventually come on Mometu, what are you into?
For me personally,
Yeah, like what do you like?
man, that's going to depend on if I'm watching something by myself or if I'm watching something with my wife. If I'm watching something with my wife, it's going to be more of a comedy. Um, we're really into like crime dramas, and so like uh she's not necessarily into the foreign language stuff, but like I love Korean crime dramas. So we have a fair amount of Korean crime dramas. So if you're into that stuff, we have a ton of them. The Policeman's Lineage is probably my favorite one, and that was actually we actually did that on episode 1 of the podcast. We did that as our highlight movie, and Jacqueline chose that, which I didn't expect she was going to choose a Korean drama, but I was so happy she did because I love those types of films, and the Policeman's Lineage is kind of a like a Korean version of Training Day. It's got a little bit of a spin on it, and it definitely fits the mold of like a Korean crime drama of like there's a antagonist, there's a protagonist, there's some kind of deadly thing going on in the world, whether it's a disease or a bomb or something like that, and then they have to figure out how to solve the issue, right? Like that's very very straightforward crime drama or K Korean, the Korean crime dramas. So uh there's those. If it for me, if I'm watching by myself, I mean, I'm into a good comedy, but I'm also like really into like action thrillers. I love epics. I love like really long, um, just like not war movies, right? But like, not World War movies, but like, where there's battles, right? So love those types of films. So yeah, I'm hoping we can bring more of that stuff on. But again, like I spend so much time on Mometu. At the same time, it's just be like me working for Mometu, right? So like I do spend a lot of time looking at films, looking at trailers, looking at short films for our film festival and for our film contest at the end of the year. And so like I kind of watch a little bit of everything. So when I'm clocked out in a sense, like I turn off my Mometu mind and I may use like other platforms. Um, my wife and I are really, like I said, really into crime dramas. So like right now we're watching The Surface on Apple TV. That's just kind of we're about to start season two. Um, we haven't even gotten to White Lotus. We do. Like she really wants to get into White Lotus. I'm okay about it. It's hit or miss. Some of the episodes I liked season one, season two was kind of and then we'll see how season three is. So yeah, we're into that. But we'll also get into like the cheesy stuff that I don't really want to watch, but it's kind of those guilty pleasure things you kind of have to watch. Like what is the what is it, Married at First Sight, or what's the other one? There's like some other random one that's where they talk in the pods.
Oh, like is
Love
it
is Blind.
Love is
Love is
Blind?
Blind.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
heard a lot about that one, but I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
So there's stuff like that that we'll watch. But again, it really depends on if I'm watching alone or if I'm watching with her. Like that's unfortunately, not unfortunately. I get we watch a lot of cool stuff together, but like when she's in the room, it's got to be something she's into as well, right? So I love sports films too. It's just, but I don't get to watch them with her. She's not a sports person, right? Like
yeah.
it is what it is.
I'm not like a big sports guy, but I watched American Sports Story, which I thought was good. It was about I don't know if you heard about that one, but it was about
Nope.
Aaron Hernandez. Yeah,
Yeah, the Aaron Hernandez story is yeah. I didn't get into that, but I watched like the Beckham documentary. But I love like Remember the Titans. Big fan. Like love sports movies. And I'll go nostalgia on that. Like I'll go older sports movies if I'm really getting into them. Like some of the newer stuff is not as good. Like but like White Man Can't Jump. Love that. So like those types of films. Caddyshack, like just yeah, sports movies in general. I'm big fan.
yeah. My fiance recently re or watched oh what's it called? I think it's the TV show based on Remember the Titans, I think, or there was a movie of the show.
Friday Night Lights.
Yeah, exactly. Friday Night
Yep.
Heights.
Yep.
And I watched some of that. I liked that. That was pretty good
Hmm.
what I saw of it. But in terms of just being in Hollywood, and I'm sure you're doing like a lot of networking and stuff. Have you met anyone or talked to anybody, any like big names that you're like kind of fond of or
Yeah. I mean, I meet people randomly and I don't like they don't really stick out as much. So this is the thing. I grew up in the film industry. So like I grew up around uh different celebrities, quote unquote. In my mind, like that's why I don't say celebrity. It's almost like I just meet actors and directors and it's just like because for me it was just a normal thing. Like I remember when I was younger, um, my mom was really good friends with Dana Plato from Different Strokes. And so I got to have lunch with like Dana Plato and Todd Bridges and it was just a normal thing, right? Like it was Gary Coleman. I didn't really interact with him as much because even though he looked like he was really young, he was definitely a lot older than the other two of his castmates. So like I never was with him much. And so like yeah, I've met people throughout the years and so when I actually like actually meet someone like it doesn't really like hit me as much. um so I do meet people but I don't live in Hollywood, so I live outside of LA.
why did you grow up in Hollywood? Like were your parents in the industry or something or
No, I actually grew up in Santa Clarita. So Santa Clarita is the outskirts of LA. There's a lot of people that in the entertainment world that uh, lived in Santa Clarita, like ones that were raising families, especially because they didn't want to live in LA. They wanted to be far enough away from LA to, but close enough where they could commute or drive to like whatever set that they need to be on. Um, and so, yeah, like I was, you know, friends with Ashley Tisdale. You know, she's a Disney star, and now she's a singer, right? So she's an artist. Madeline Zima, who was the daughter from The Nanny, right? So like I grew up, or quote unquote dated her for 2 weeks, junior high, right? So like again, it was just around people, right? So like it was just normal in Santa Clarita. Just kind of a thing where people lived in certain areas, like especially like Sand Canyon and certain areas of Valencia. Um, but that was the thing. So we didn't grow up in Hollywood. Not a lot of people live in Hollywood. Like there's some that do, and they're typically younger and they're kind of doing their thing. Or they're trying to make it, right? They're there in the heart of it, trying to make it in the industry. But that's why you saw like a lot of people that were in the industry were affected by the fires in Pacific Palisades because they lived in Pacific Palisades, right? Like they didn't live in Hollywood. All the wealthy people that were in the industry were they had all their homes were outside of Hollywood, or they're living in like Bel Air, or um, a lot of people live in the Valley, right? Like they live in like Calabasas areas, right? So there's a lot, or Tarzana, Encino, right? So like they live just outside of Hollywood. Like you don't really want to live in Hollywood. There's no like except in the Hollywood Hills, there's not really big homes in Hollywood. There's a lot of apartments.
Yeah. So you weren't in Hollywood. You were just, but you were close enough to it to where you just like kind of like
I
happened to
could
like
go, yeah.
see
My
people or run into people. It wasn't like your parents worked in the industry or anything. You just kind
no,
of.
no, no, no. They did.
Oh, okay. So
Uh,
what did your parents do then?
so my parents were both producers, and when I was younger, they actually produced Kevin Costner's first film. So that's kind of cool, cool little thing.
What was his
Um,
first film?
it's called Malibu Hot Summer.
Okay.
Um, way back in like I think late '70s, early '80s. Um, and so they did that film. My mother, once my brother and I were born, like she became a full-time mom, and she kind of worked a local job, and sometimes two and eventually three to help support. And my dad wasn't a super well-off filmmaker, so he was definitely an indie filmmaker. So I lived in that world, and I lived in a world of like being on food stamps at times and stuff like that. So it wasn't like all glamorous, being in that industry. Actually, fun thing about where I lived, down the street, it was like 2 blocks away, is where they trained all the Lassie dogs. There was a house that had all a full setup in their yard, and they trained like 13 Lassie dogs, and each, sorry to spoil it for people, but Lassie was not just one dog.
Oh
The
wow.
Lassie was like 15 dogs, and they all specialized in one thing. Like they all specialized in like one specific trick or two, and that was it. So, and then they had a Lassie for the close up, right? So they had one Lassie that was like really, really well, like really the look the best. That was the Lassie you saw on camera, with the front facing or in certain episode or certain like scenes, but like all the action stuff that you saw Lassie doing, was not the same Lassie. So sorry for spoiling that for people.
Yeah,
But
that's like kind of crazy. Like you always think about it being one dog, but
yeah,
it kind of
yeah, yeah, yeah.
changes
They
things.
ra-
Yeah.
they raised border collies, and so they just trained them on how to do all those different tricks. So one could like pull open a door or jump over whatever, jump into water and swim and all that stuff, right? So they specialized in one certain thing.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so my dad was a director. He's more so best known for he did some films with a company called Trauma, and Trauma's best known for like the Toxic Avenger, right? Lloyd Kaufman. And so I grew up with Lloyd Kaufman, being around him. He made the two main movies of that franchise that he made were the Class of Nukem High Part 2 and Part 3. So that was pretty cool. He did like another one called Fortress of America. And I'm missing, well, there's a fifth one that he did, or there's another one that he did. I can't remember the name of it. But either way, yeah, he did those films. I was in a couple films of his that was like as kind of a child actor, which is kind of funny. It's not really like I was a good child actor. I was just there because more than likely he needed to provide daycare for me at that time. Like my mom probably had to work. I had school off, like, summer, winter breaks. And so when you're doing that in a film family, you end up spending a lot of time on sets. Um, and so like we took like a summer vacation to Florida one year because he was filming a movie in Miami. And it wasn't because we were taking a vacation to Miami. It's just because like, hey, dad has to work. And so we're going with him. So that was kind of cool when we piggyback off that. Um, but yeah, so he did that. Then he got into production, back into production. And someone then told him that he needed to get closer to the money. And so he got into distribution. And so that's kind of how I learned a little bit about the world. I was actually in corporate America for like 15 years out of college. I did not want to be in the film industry, and here I am, helping support filmmakers, get their movies be seen. So, um, he through him, and my brother works with him. I was able to learn a little bit about the distribution world, and he's also actually one of our distribution partners. So it's kind of cool that um, we're both kind of clients of each other, right? It's kind of fun.
Yeah, Hollywood's kind of like a weird place, isn't it? Like I don't really like know if I've ever like actually. I mean, I'm sure I've been in Hollywood, but like I don't realize I'm in Hollywood when I'm there. Because you got like North Hollywood, then you got West Hollywood, and then the whole area to me. Because I live like an hour east or hour and a half or so east of LA. But whenever
Okay,
I
cool.
go there, I don't really. It's a very big kind of complicated for me at least. Like I don't really
Mm.
know exactly where. Like I don't even really know where exactly like Hollywood would be exactly. Like
Well, Hollywood's going to be, if you go to the TCL, the old Chinese theater, right? The Grauman Theater, the TCL theater now. If you go there, that's
okay,
Hollywood. Like
that's Hollywood.
you're in the heart of Hollywood. Yeah, that's where
Is
they
that
yeah.
is that like whole Sunset Strip kind of
Yeah.
Hollywood? Okay,
Yep.
I don't
The
even
further
like
west you go, you get into West Hollywood, right? And
where the
um
Roxy is. Would that be West Hollywood or would that be Hollywood?
the Roxy is in Hollywood, I believe. And again,
Okay, so okay
and
then
again, I don't spend a lot of time in Hollywood. Um no, the Roxy is in West Hollywood. So yeah,
yeah.
I am wrong.
I think
So
most of it's in West Hollywood now, right? Most of like the kind of glamorous side, maybe. Like I kind of feel like Hollywood now isn't as
um
glamorous as it used to be. Maybe I'm wrong though.
I mean, it's just older, right? It's not that it's less, but that's where all the stars are. Like if you're gonna go watch
Yeah, that's true. All the tourism stuff. Yeah.
the if you're gonna watch the Walk to the Stars, the Walk of Fame, you're gonna have to be in Hollywood to do that, and you're gonna go to Sunset and Hollywood Boulevard, and that's where some of the theaters or some of the studios are still at.
Yeah. I think
So
for
like
some reason I don't even like realize like that I'm in Hollywood when I'm there. You know what I mean? It's kind of like I just
yeah,
don't know where I am. I'm somewhere in LA basically when I'm going there. But yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's Hollywood's nice, but I mean, again, I don't tend to go to Los Angeles unless I really have to. So but that's also me being 40 and being married and being a dad, right? Like I have a lot of single friends that spend a lot of time in Hollywood or West Hollywood or downtown LA. So it's a different ball game. Unless I'm going to an event, unless I'm go or hosting our film festival, which is in Hollywood actually. We have our venue is the Harmony Gold Preview House, which is right on Sunset Boulevard. Um, you know, I'm usually not in Los Angeles. That's also kind of due to the benefit of doing things virtually. Like we're doing this virtually, right? Like we're in two different places, but we're able to do a podcast together. It's the same thing for doing meetings. Meetings can be taking place virtually now, and even, I mean, there's virtual film festivals, which is wild, right? So it just depends on if again, if I have an event to be at or if I have a reason to go to LA. If not, I'm probably not gonna go. Like, you
Yeah.
know,
It's kind of a yeah, it's a pain to get around there, which is so crowded. Like I would
yeah,
love to go more often just to like film because I like filming stuff, but it's like I haven't been in a while just because it's such a pain to drive. It's so crowded everywhere, and so much traffic.
yeah. If I'm driving to LA, I'm usually going to see my family, and like for the most part, unless it's an event, I'm going to see my family who's still in like northern Los Angeles. So
Yeah. But then you guys also have the film festival there. It's there in Hollywood.
yeah, so we actually it's a hybrid festival. So we host last year we had 69 films, short films from 38 different colleges and universities. So 69 different filmmakers submitted films, but represented 32 colleges and universities across North America. Mainly the United States. We had one from Canada, so uh, that one school was awesome to have. Um, all of their films were hosted on the Mometu streaming service. So like we had all 69 films on our platform for an entire month, and 25% of the grading of their film was based on the watch data and the watch metrics of how their film did on our platform. And then 75% from a typical judging perspective. So the 7 category winners from last year were then invited to Hollywood, and 6 of the 7 made it, and one just had a conflict. And actually, no, I would say 5 of the 7 made it because one was brought as a cardboard cutout, and their first AD came in their place. Um, but yeah, so we had those filmmakers came, did a whole red carpet experience a month later, and that's in Hollywood. So we screen the winning films, and then we have a panel for Best Picture that's picked live. The audience also picks their favorite via an app that we have, so they can go in and vote for their favorite film. So we do an audience award that gets a cash prize. We have Best Picture that last year was sponsored by Vizio, and so they got like a Vizio television and soundbar. They also got a brand new camera from Blackmagic. Um, and then we had another fun award called the Producers Pick, which was a um, company called V Channels, which is now known as Insurgents, and they came on board to turn one of the short films into a feature film. So that's still in the works.
Okay, cool. And then we when we go there, or at least we were going to Cantor's Deli. Would Cantor's technically be in Hollywood, or where is that?
Cantor's Deli. I have
Do,
no idea. Is that with a K?
it's a C. I feel like
Is it?
it's kind of like a famous
It sounds familiar.
yeah, it's kind of like a famous
Cantor's
restaurant.
Deli on Fairfax. No, that is in uh where is it? Cantor's Deli. There's one in it looks like West Hollywood.
That's
And
probably the
there's
one that we go to.
yeah, that's gonna probably be the main. I'm guessing that's probably the OG. Uh Cantor's Deli, yeah, right there on let's see, Fairfax and let me see if I can zoom into this thing. My computer's going super slow right now because we're on streaming, but um yeah, Fairfax and Melrose kind of. Fairfax and Beverly, between Beverly and Melrose. So yeah, West Hollywood.
Yeah. Okay. I just asked because I'm like, where? Yeah, I'm just like the whole area is confusing to me, so I don't really, like I said, don't really know where I am exactly when I'm there. But in
Yeah.
terms of the other streaming services, who do you think is doing it right? I know they're like your competition, but who do you think are is doing it right? I guess when you see it, you're like, we'd kind of want to be like that one, or at least uh,
Um, I don't know if we necessarily want to be like
yeah,
anyone.
that's probably the
Like,
bad
no,
phrasing, but yeah.
no, that's fine. I know what you mean. We don't necessarily want to be like anyone because like we want to be ourselves. Like that we want to differentiate ourselves from our competitors. But yeah, I mean, Tubi's doing it right. Pluto's doing it well. But I mean, those are also companies that have been in operation for like almost 15 years, right? Those are the two original AVOD streamers. I mean, the advertising based streamers. So they got Tubi, who was in 2021 was sold to Fox. And so Fox owns Tubi. So people think like, oh, Tubi, they're big and glamorous and all that. Yeah, well, yeah, they're owned by Fox. They were purchased for $440 million in 2021.
Oh
Um,
man.
so that because Fox saw the writing on the wall, free streaming. Pluto again owned by Paramount. So Pluto is owned by like Viacom, which is Paramount, which is also CBS, right? So um, Fox and Paramount, right? They're both in the world together, or Fox and CBS, right? Because we would think CBS, but it's Viacom that owns Paramount, that owns CBS, that then owns also Pluto. So that's why you'll see some of the legacy stuff from Fox on Tubi, and you'll see some of the legacy like Paramount programs and CBS programs that are on Pluto. So that's why, like, even when you're watching like Big Brother, uh, Julie Chen mentions you can go watch on Pluto. Well, because yeah, it's owned by the same people. It streams on CBS, and then you can pay to watch it on say YouTube TV or Fubo, or if you still have traditional cable, you can watch it on CBS. But then you can also stream it for free on Pluto, right? So with all the ads, and they make money on the ads then. So those are two of the kind of larger leaders um, that are doing it well. You know that they're just the top two, but they're also more worldwide. Like I mentioned, Tubi's in the UK, and I believe they're also in Australia. And so they're expanding, but they wouldn't have been able to expand without having the audience that they do and having the content that they do. But also being, again, backed by a large entity in Fox. So um, they're kind of doing it right. But I feel like we're doing it right in our own realm too, right? I mean, we're young. We're we're about 5% of the lifetime that they've been around. So maybe 10. So
Yeah.
it takes some time to build it up. It takes some time to get to break through, to get people to know your brand and know who you are, and what content you're there to cater to. So
Yeah. So most of the new ones are most of the, I guess, newer free ones are only in America. They haven't expanded yet. Obviously, like Netflix and
um
Max, I'm assuming is, and Apple TV Plus is everywhere. But
yeah, but those are all subscription based services,
yeah,
right? So you're talking about free services. Yeah, a lot of them are here in the United States, and that's because advertising dollars. Advertising dollars are more so spent here in the States than any other country in the world. We spend the most money on advertising, and that's because you have American-based companies that are advertising, and you also have foreign companies that are advertising, right? So I may see a car commercial for Jeep, but I may see a car commercial for a Toyota, right? So um, you're probably not going to see a Jeep commercial in Japan, right? Because they don't, like 97% of the cars or whatever that are sold and used in Japan um, are Japanese cars, right? So it's just one of the things, right? If you go to Germany, right, you're going to get German cars. Like if you go drive around, you're going to see Mercedes, BMW, Volkswagen. Like that's it. Like you may see a couple other smaller ones too, right? But like that's going to be the bread and butter of what you see car wise. So the advertising is going to be limited to certain brands. You're not going to see, Jeep and Chevy and Ford, right? So we're like a melting pot here in the States, and which is why we get most of the advertising dollars. The UK is getting better now. Um, and again, that's also going to depend on how that company operates with trade and, all that stuff that's going on, all the political stuff going on. So, um, you're seeing Germany, France, Italy, the UK, um, United States, Canada, even Australia, kind of like those are kind of the top countries for advertising dollars. So if you go to say India, and India really limits things to just Indian companies. They block a lot of things. They block a lot of streaming companies. They block a lot of gaming companies. Um, and if you go there, like advertising dollars are really low. So like you'll be very happy to make $3 on every 1,000 impressions that you get on an ad. But the technology to serve the ad and the technology to show the content costs just as much as it does there as it does here. So if you're not able to make as much money in revenue, that's why a lot of platforms over there are going to be subscription based because it's guaranteed money versus we have to be open to the advertising market and then also work with advertisers to bring them in.
yeah, that makes sense. I feel like I recently saw an art. I don't know if it's true, but I saw an article that like Apple TV Plus wasn't making, either they were losing money or like not making too much money, which is
Yeah.
pretty surprising. But I guess it's probably one of those things where it just takes time before you start making money.
Well, it's they spent a certain number of dollars on content, on making content, and they haven't
which is
made
probably a ton, right?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Um, and they have not made that money back yet. And so, and again, now you get me curious. I'm gonna like Google stuff here. So Apple TV spend on content. So they spent over $5 billion a year on content since launching Apple TV in 2019. 5 billion, but trim that by about 500 million last year. So we're talking billions of dollars spent on content. They have not made that much money back. The difference with Apple, though, is you got to remember Apple TV is an extension of the Apple brand, right? So like their first and foremost thing is they're a tech company. They're not a streamer first, and so a lot of their money is sold by selling iPhones, right? So if you're loyal to Apple TV, more than likely you're loyal to using Apple products. They're selling phones, iPads, you know, MacBooks, all that stuff, right? So it plays in a different factor. It's kind of a marketing ploy that Apple becomes the focus of what you're watching. It's also the focus of what you're purchasing. They
I
also
mean,
own all the advertising within it too, right? So if there's any ads that are, shown, or product placement that's shown, they control that too.
can you watch? I'm assuming they would allow this, but can you even watch Apple TV Plus on like an Android, or like do you need an iPhone for? Because I know for a lot of their apps they don't have them on Androids. Do
Yeah,
they have?
I think you can. I'm pretty sure you can because Apple TV Plus is an app. It's not a. You don't have to have the Apple TV device. Like I use a Samsung
Yeah,
for my smart TV. I also have a Vizio smart TV, and then I also have a Roku device. I also have a Fire TV device. I have too many devices because I also have to test Mometu and all of them. Um, but yeah, so I have all these devices, and yes, I can watch Apple TV on all of them. I can watch YouTube TV on all of them. I can watch Google, the or Android TV on all of them if I wanted to, right? So yes,
yeah. But I know for a lot of their apps, like they don't allow them on other platforms. But obviously, with this one, I would assume they would want people on an Android to be able to watch their show. It would just be stupid to like for them to not allow that. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
unless they're literally just trying to force you to buy an iPhone so that you can watch, which is probably not the case. But
yeah. And I misspoke. You can't use Android. You cannot use Android TV because Android TV is not an app. It's an actual platform. So sorry. Um, but either way, you are right though. It is a thing where they do want to control that, but at the same time, why would Apple TV not want to be able to be available to Android users? Because again, that's the whole purpose. Switching someone from Android to Apple. All right. So you want that ability. So hopefully they see Apple. Oh, I love Apple. I love Apple TV. I love shows on Apple. I should get an Apple. I'm gonna
yeah,
go. I'm gonna go bite an apple. Like it's just
yeah.
it goes down. I want an apple pie, right? So like it's just apple, 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 right? That's the whole point of you getting that brand exposure, getting over there. And it's the same reason why Walmart just recently purchased Vizio. Walmart wants to be able to sell their devices, but also control the advertising on Vizio Smart Watch Free Plus. So Vizio Watch Free Plus is a free streaming platform on Vizio devices, and Walmart now controls all of the advertising on those devices.
And it's only on Vizio, or is it on everything?
What?
Um, the streaming service you just said. What was it called? Video.
Yeah, Vizio Watch Free Plus is only on Vizio devices. Yes.
Oh, see that to me is kind of crazy because I've heard that about
Yeah.
Roku
Well,
too.
you can do it. You can download the app on your phone though. You can download it on your phone,
But
but
not on other.
correct because Samsung devices have Samsung TV Plus, and so
Yeah,
like they have their own like free version of content on their devices. But again, that's why Walmart bought Vizio because Walmart wants to control people that bought Vizio, like the largest purchasing uh, demographic of Vizio televisions were purchased at Walmart stores in the country. So like now Walmart can retarget ads to buy things at Walmart to the very people that bought TVs at Walmart. And so hopefully they're getting them back to go do all their shopping at Walmart versus going to another store, right? To go buy
Yeah,
their stuff.
that's kind of like what I was saying with Apple TV Plus. Is I was wondering if that was the same kind of mentality, was like we're going to try and force you to buy, but
Kind of.
they don't do. But Apple allows you to watch on other. Because I know for a while on my Fire Stick they didn't have Apple TV Plus, but now they do.
Uh-huh.
It just seems kind of like a crazy model to be like, we have this streaming service, but you can't watch it unless you literally have a Vizio TV. But it seems like
Yeah.
they're missing out. But then, like what you just said, they're doing it just so they can market directly to
Well, then
you.
no,
And
Vizio didn't do that directly. The Vizio did that in order to give a free product to their Vizio users. It built up a value for their televisions of saying, hey, you buy our televisions, not only can you can watch Netflix and Hulu and all these other subscriptions that you're paying for, you can also watch free content on Vizio Watch Free Plus. And so when you
yeah,
turn on your TV, it's in the forefront. When there's a button on the actual remote, there's a button that literally says right in the middle, that right there in the green, Watch Free Plus, right? So right there, you can literally click on that and just be immersed into that ad, and then they make money on the advertising as you're watching content.
but
Very
it's
smart.
weird. It's like there's so many free ones now that it almost seems like you could just be like, okay, I'll just watch yours, or
Yeah, but every free platform has different content, and
yeah,
every free platform does their content in a different way. Like I mentioned before, our platform does it without algorithms, whereas like, excuse me, whereas like a Tubi, you create a profile, they use an algorithm to serve you content,
yeah.
which is a good thing and potentially a bad thing, right? So, yeah.
And then I've heard Roku does the same thing, where like they have their own streaming app, but you can only watch the streaming app. You literally have to have Roku TV or whatever to watch the streaming app on Roku. This is just what I've heard. I don't know if this is true, but okay, cool. So I wanted to ask you really quickly about Quibi. What happened to Quibi? And then we'll just end it after that. Do you know what
Uh,
happened to Quibi? Because I thought Quibi.
I was not a Quibi user. Um, Quibi, I believe, was used for, was it short form content? And needed to they were shut down. I believe it was to do with crowdfunding, if I remember right. Um, and it was kind of flawed in the sense where like they didn't have enough users in order to support the app. So again, that's part of the problem, right? With a platform, you need to have enough users in order to make it work. And so, yeah, great idea. It was just probably maybe a little too early for them to do what they did, and they missed out on the market that would have been great for them, which would have been during COVID.
Oh yeah, because I remember that one coming and going really fast. And it was, yeah, I remember it being kind of crazy of
Yep.
how much money they spent into it. But so lastly, your podcast, obviously, plug your podcast, your obviously your app again, Mometu. And then I always ask this at the end. I've already asked you about movies and TV shows, but are there any other podcasts, music, movies, TV, anything you're into that you want to throw out there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, yeah. Mometu, Mometu, more for me and you. Mometu is a free streaming service, so go download it today, right now. If you've made it this far in the episode, go download it right now. Uh, Go ahead and find it on your smart TV, find it on your Roku, find your Fire TV, whatever you use. Go download it on your phone. You can take it with you on the go. The cool thing is if you create an account, you can actually create it on your phone. You can use that same account on your television. And so as you save, maybe you're at work and you want to kind of look for the next thing you want to watch, you can go on your phone, find what you're looking for, and then it'll save it for later. And then you can go on your television at home and watch it when you're at home in the comfort of your couch. Uh, Again, I also founded the film festival, so it's a Mometu College Film Festival. So if you are a college filmmaker and you're watching this, make sure that you head over to Film Freeway and type in Mometu, will pop up. It's only $25 to submit a short film as long as it was a student made short film. And you can be in the mix and get your film up on our platform for an entire month and hopefully have a chance to win some cool, prizes and cash and all that stuff. And again, as far as the podcast goes, that is the More for Me and You podcast, which is what Mometu means. So very easy to create that name. The More for Me and You podcast can be found on YouTube. It can also be found on the typical audio versions on Apple, Spotify, or whatever you're listening to this podcast on. I'm sure we're there. We utilize Buzzsprout to get our stuff out, so I'm sure we're all on the same platforms. If you're looking to follow us on social media, a whole nother realm of things, right? You just want to be part of our community and kind of see what's coming out. You can go to at free Mometu because obviously Mometu is free. So at free Mometu, you can find us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Blue Sky, I think is what it's called now, not Twitter. We pulled out of Twitter. You can find us on doing all the social stuff, right? So you can find us there. And then if you're looking for the podcast, you can find us there at Momi2 Podcast or just searching More for Me and You. You can find us there too. So a lot of different places to enjoy Momi2. Yeah, we're having a lot of fun with what we're doing and we're excited about the future. If you want to just check out content that, again, is more than likely things you've never seen and you've never heard of, and you want to just change it up, go to Momi2, download the app, and you'll find a lot of content, the best movies and TV you've never seen.
Okay, cool. And is there anything you want to plug that's either on there or not that
Um,
I think you kind of already went over some stuff that was on there that, but if there's anything else you want to recommend to watch while you go on there.
I mean, I don't want to recommend anything to anyone on our platform because there's just so much cool stuff. Like I don't I want people to go down rabbit holes that they never thought that they'd be interested into. I mean, go down the rabbit hole of Korean crime dramas. Like go to the Korean section and find some Korean crime dramas. I guarantee you're gonna really enjoy those. Go down the path of if you're when you want to laugh, go to comedy. Go check it out. If you're into black cinema, we got a great section for black cinema. It's these rabbit holes of content that you more than likely are not being presented first and foremost on other platforms, and we want to be there to do that for you. So we have a lot of really cool films from the UK, a lot of really cool films from Australia. Those are all in English, so you don't have to worry about reading subtitles. You just have to understand their accents a little bit, right? So we have like a really cool comedy called "Standing Up for Sonny," which is with R.J. Mitt, he's Walter Jr. from Breaking Bad. He's got
Yeah.
cerebral palsy, and it's a funny one where he literally is, cerebral palsy. He can't really stand up perfectly, right? So he stands up for Sonny and this girl who's doing comedy and she's getting heckled by the crowd. So he stands up for her and he becomes a stand-up comedian himself. It is awesome. But again, you more than likely have never heard of it and you've probably never seen it because it was from Australia and it didn't really, take off here in the States. So go check that one out. Again, there's so much stuff that we have that's coming on Momi too. We have over 10,000 different titles to look at. So get down your own rabbit hole. Pop onto social media. Let us know how you're liking it. And yeah, that's about it. That's us.
Great. Yeah, I mean the great thing about, like you said, the app, it's free. You can go on there, watch whatever you want. I mean, there's no reason like not to download it. You know what I mean? It's
It's
like
free,
with
so it's risk
Netflix.
free.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. It's like go try it, watch whatever you want to watch. It's great. I love that.
if you love it, great. If you hate it, cool. If you just want a random film to watch and you just want to get into something just super unique and different, just go in there, check it out. I will say we have a great classic section. And if I want to shout out anyone, I gotta shout out my boy Harry Marks. He is a TikTok just historian almost of classic films. And he does these really cool intros. So if you're on TikTok, go to at lobby intros, or if you go to our YouTube page, you can watch him on there as well. It's our classic movie intros. He is amazing. And he does these like 3 minute kind of Robert Osborne esque kind of Turner classic movie intros for all these classic films that we have. We have a great classic section. We have an incredible horror section. I mean, our horror section was massive in October. People were getting into not just new stuff that they never heard of, but also a lot of cool classics that we have as well, like The House on a Haunted Hill, the original Halloween, right? Like we have some really cool Psycho 2. There's some really cool films on there. So go check those out as well.
Okay, cool. And then the film festival thing on the Reddit podcast exchange, that's also, I'm assuming that's going to be you. That's just the same thing as this, right? Because I saw that too. I
Yeah,
didn't know.
we have
Yeah.
two different accounts on Reddit. So yeah, there's the Mometu College Film Fest or Mometu College FF, or I think is what we have it named as. And then there's also the Mometu podcast on Reddit as well. But those are just user accounts. They're not subreddits. But like yeah, I interact with people on there through that. And that's obviously how you and I found each other.
Okay, cool. All right. Thanks for listening, guys. Thanks for coming on, Brian, and go download that app. All right. Bye, guys.
Thanks, Micah.